2023. It's a lovely, lovely Monday. You are viewing and listening to Issues and Answers on the WCEG Talk Radio Network. WCEG stands for Worldwide Community Empowerment Group. I am your host, Norman A. Carter Jr. Our goal is to enlighten your perspectives about our environment, our socio-political struggles, and those banes of classism and racism that make all of our lives more difficult than they should be. In so doing, our hope is to bring all of us together in a human tapestry of brotherhood and sisterhood, bound together by threads of understanding, respect, and tolerance of our physical, racial, and religious differences. Now, those of you who are currently watching, we thank you. Yes, we are. We're broadcasting live, so we thank you. Inform your neighbors, friends, and associates that we can be viewed via YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram, and over muchísimo streaming devices such as Roku. Our podcasts are available on Apple, Google, Amazon, Spotify, and JioSaavn. That's some India platforms. All of our programs are archived on YouTube and can be viewed by anyone at any time. We're so glad to have all of you who are listening to us live, and those of you who are listening to us recorded, and those of you who are listening to us live. I remind you that if you're listening via Facebook, please feel free to text in your questions and comments as we go along. We'll do the best we can to answer them. Lastly, please understand that the topics and opinions on Issues and Answers are those of the host and my guest host, and not the WCEG Network. Leave my boss alone. Let's get moving on this installment of Issues and Answers. Before I introduce my guest, when I first met her, I recall the story back in my old career as a police officer. And I was newly assigned to this, actually Shaw Junior High School in Philadelphia. And I thought that was going to be a very, very, very easy job. Not as easy as I thought it would be. Children were different than they were when I grew up. And Shaw was a junior high, they're middle schools now. Anyway, maybe my second or third day, I noticed this young man. Every day he walked past me, he said something bad under his breath as he walked past me. Always called me a name. And this went on for about a week. So after about a week, it was a Monday morning, I said, you know what? I need to get to the bottom of this. I didn't think he was a bad kid, but I needed to get to the bottom of why is this boy calling me names? He was about 14 years old. So I waited at the door where the young men came in. And when he came in, he was with his group, sauntering as young boys do with their group. And I sort of separated him politely from his group. I put my arms around his shoulder and I said, come on, man, let's go and have a little talk. And I said, why is it that every time you walk past me, you call me a name? Well, he denied. I said, well, I really don't appreciate it. And it's not a nice thing for you to do. So just don't do it anymore. And it was very polite conversation. So later on, I was talking to some of the teachers and some of the staff about this interaction I had with him. And I found out that his father was incarcerated and had been incarcerated for some time. And this young man he had behavioral issues, put it lightly. But because of the conversation that I had with him, and because the information I received about him, I looked at him differently, because I realized then that a lot of the things that he was saying and doing, to not just to me, but to any other person in authority, he was really acting out some deep-seated anger that he had no other way to express. And it didn't make him a bad kid. He just needed an outlet. And I immediately recalled that story when I met our guest host, Mrs. Tynecia Estrada. Welcome to WCEG. Welcome. Welcome. Now, Mrs. Estrada is a mother of 2 children, and she is the CEO and founder of Girls Breaking Chains Incorporated. And, normally I get into a long bio, but I like to read about our guest before I get into our question and answer and interview. But I think her journey comes best from her lips as to number one, what Girls Breaking Chains is all about, but what brought you to this.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much, Norman, for having me. I really appreciate that. You allow me to share our mission of Girls Breaking Chains.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I'll just jump right in. I'll start off with what brought me to Girls Breaking Chains, and then I'll share our mission. Girls Breaking Chains is more than just a nonprofit, it's a ministry. It was birthed out of me visiting my dad in prison for 25 years of my life. When I was 10 years old, my dad went to prison. We were best friends, and he and my mother were not together, but he was very present in my life. I've always spent time with him prior to him going to prison. And as you can imagine, someone having your best friend go to prison, you can imagine being a 10-year-old, how devastating it was for me. I began to act out, just like you named some of the things that the young man did. He acted out. I was fighting in school. I got suspended, expelled. My teachers had no idea what I was going through. I did have supportive people in my life. When my dad prior even to my dad going to prison, I had a great support system. My grandmother was more like a mother to me. She was that person that made me feel seen and heard. She's the person that told me about my dad going to prison. I can still remember after church one Sunday, her saying to me, that I want to talk to you about something. Your dad has been arrested, and we don't know the details as of yet, but we're praying that everything works out. And as a 10-year-old, hearing that in the midst of eating, just coming from church, imagine the tears, the pain, the fear that set in. But she assured me that, things would be okay. I also had a mother who suffered from mental illness. So having a mom that suffers from mental illness, then having your best friend, your dad, go to prison, who was more of that, safe space for me, right?
Sure.
Having those things taken away, it was devastating for me. So you can understand why children act out. And so just 25 years of my life visiting him in prison, and he also being given a death sentence. It was tough. It was a lot for not just me, but my family,
Sure.
My faith, my family, and having those supportive people around me, my uncles and aunts that really just took up the time with me to make sure that I was staying on track. I had a coach that played a huge part in my life as well, encouraging me to make sure I'm staying in school, doing what I need to do. But I still had internal struggles that I was dealing with. As a child, receiving a letter from your father and you're crying hysterically, crying yourself to sleep, and nobody around you thought to get therapy. And that's a big proponent of our organization, that we definitely want all kids that have been through something traumatic to get therapy. So having to wait later on in my life to get that therapy that I needed, we pray that the girls that come in our program know that this that this is a safe place for them. So Girls Breaking Chains is basically an organization we believe in the power of prayer. We believe in faith, having supportive people in your life to help you get through what you're going through mentorship, support groups, and scholarships. We come alongside young girls to help them get through what they're going through, which is it can be very traumatic for a lot of kids. And I was one of those kids. Everyone's situation is different, but kids internalize things, and that's what I did. So yeah, just my faith, and again, having supportive people in my life really has helped me, in addition to getting therapy. Therapy is key. So,
I had a curious question.
Mhm.
How much did the song Break Every Chain come into play with your organization?
Oh my goodness, so much. I can remember hearing that song years ago, and
Mhm.
it really spoke to my heart, because literally, with the help of God, that's what happens. Those chains, when you face that situation, when you going through a healing process, and
Mhm.
to break those chains, that's what he would do. So we want to remind, that's another thing why the organization is called Girls Breaking Chains, is because of the chains. They can be broken if you allow God to do the healing that he can do. It does take time sometimes for the healing to take place, but just taking that first step and surrendering is where the key is.
I think you touched on two songs right there, Break Every Chain and Speak to My Heart.
Mhm.
Two of my favorite songs. But anyway, man, we're going to go to church here in a minute. Here, didn't want to do that, but it's actually relevant. I mean, you came from a faith-based family, and I think that in spite of it all, when you speak of your grandmother,
Mhm.
uh, that's really what it had to take for you to get you through that. I mean, I don't know whether you saw my Facebook post, but this is something that people talk about, don't talk about enough, because it's the damage that can be done to a child left in that circumstance is just tremendous, absolutely tremendous. And what we have is we set the groundwork for children to follow take a bad path in
Mhm.
life and to make bad choices. So I really commend you. Uh, uh, how did you start this by yourself, or how did that evolve?
Well, I can remember, yeah. Well, Norman, it was a while. God did place it on my heart, but at the time, I didn't even understand why. And I'm like, I'm going through this right now. It was probably about, I would say, 9 years ago, a little bit after my dad's execution, is when God gave me a vision of this, and I was like, there's no way I'm going through. I can't be right now, because I'm going through the thick of it right now. I'm like, that's when it all started with that. But yeah, it did take some time to go through the process, but I knew that once I had that, he gave that to me, I knew that I had to do it. I really did. After his execution is when it really was, when God placed it on my heart. But I was in no position to, move. I was still going
Mhm.
myself. I was literally stuck. When you go through something that traumatic,
Sure.
having to plead for someone's life, uh,
Hmm.
not just me, a whole family. Oh my gosh, I didn't even know what it was. I'm like, God, are you sure you're talking to me? I just didn't understand then, but eventually he started, as more I started going through that healing process, the more he revealed to me, the more I drew closer to him, the more he gave me the power, the chains of the shame and the abandonment. Because I didn't even tell some of my friends that I was friends with for years. As you said, people don't
Mm.
talk. You
Right.
don't, because of your fear shame, is one of them. The fear of people judging you and your loved one, although
Hmm.
they've made, a wrong choice, a bad decision, it does impact the whole family. So, yeah.
Wow. So you go through a tragedy, as we would say, you were in a mess,
Mm.
and God just took you and says, you know what? We're going to turn that mess into something good.
Yes.
And it's that's yeah, we can talk about what God does, but God gives us the path. We have to decide we want to walk that path, and
Absolutely.
that takes a lot. It's not just a simple thing to do because he takes you out of your comfort zone.
Yes.
Well, one of the things that I noticed that I learned that I didn't learn because we I didn't realize how really important what you're doing is until I went to your website and garnered a little bit of information. And I'd like you to address that. It found out that 1 in 8 poor children, 1 in 9 Black children, and 1 in 14 of all children
Mm.
have an incarcerated parent.
Mm.
That that is mind-boggling. That is mind-boggling. So, are you receiving any help from or coordinating anything with the I think they call it DFACS here, Department of Family and Children, or anything like that? My goodness, you'd have to be a great resource for them.
We have outreach to a number of organizations and let them know that we are here, we are available to receive, children that have a parent that's incarcerated. And I have sent information for referrals to DFACS as well. So every avenue you can think of, we've tried. Even with our jail system here, I've reached out to Sheriff Tebow in his office. So we're doing community outreach any way that we can get the message out, that we're here to offer the services throughout Gwinnett County, the community schools, which is the mentoring piece of Gwinnett County. Yeah, we're doing everything that we can. And even on this show, I'm praying that someone, your viewers, that they would share as well. So yeah.
I see, everybody looks for this and that, but definitely what you're doing, which I'm going to get into a little bit more about what you're doing, seems to be an avenue for some very good state or federal funding.
Mm.
We'll start with the state. We'll start out here. And I'm just thinking that as we move along, I'm really praying and hoping that this grows for you. Working with the Department of Corrections,
Mm.
avenues that, we need to start knocking on doors, because all of those folks who are in those prison cells, over 90% of them have children, and they have children who are suffering. And I don't know how many organizations such as yours that are set up specifically for girls.
Yeah, there are organizations here in Georgia that provide services to children of incarcerated parents. But from my knowledge, I don't know of anyone specifically for girls, and I've done my research. So
Let's tell our audience and those who may be interested in helping just what you do.
well, we have 3 different components of our program. The first one would be the mentorship. If you have a young daughter aged 10 to 17 that's in the Gwinnett County school system, we have trained mentors that we want to provide the services to. And we've built a partnership with Gwinnett Community Schools, as I stated, but they don't have the data to say, hey, this number of girls have a parent that's incarcerated. And we want to stay true to our mission. So one thing that they've advised us to do what I'm doing now, outreaching, going through the prison systems, going through the jails, and anywhere that we'll be able to get to the parents so that they can give us the referral. And then we can go back to the mentoring community and say, hey, these are the girls. And so now our mentors can go in, and we're just not talking about regular mentor. These mentors have taken classes, courses that prepare them as far as with trauma. You want someone to be prepared. So we prepare our mentors, by making sure that they get the training that they need, for these young people. We do training on our own. And we also, through Georgia State, they have programs where people in the community that interface with children, that they can go in and get the training, trauma-informed training. So that's a must, first and foremost. And of course, background checked and making sure that it's a good fit. So we've definitely received a lot of support through Mentor Georgia. We've got a grant for them to actually get a coach to help us launch this mentoring program, which we did in January. We launched the mentoring piece of this program, and so we've been on the ground, hitting the ground running. Every way that we can, every avenue that we can take, we've tried to take, and we're really trying to let the community know that we're here. And again, there's support available. Kids don't have to do this alone, That's the mentoring piece. So the support group piece is getting like-minded girls, these girls that are going through the exact same thing. They're going through having their parent incarcerated. They can share what they're going through and encourage each other, to be able to move past what they're going through. And again, they have support of myself. I have a board, and we have mentors that are going to walk alongside them through this. And the last piece is the scholarships, which will come later on. Once, of course, we're a nonprofit, so we need funding to be able to provide these girls with scholarships. I can remember graduating from high school, there were no scholarships for girls with a parent that's incarcerated. So we want to come alongside these girls that are if we have students that are in the 12th grade, be able to provide them with scholarships so that they can go to college. Also, there may be some girls that may need, an outside avenue as far as therapy. That's another piece. That's the third piece as well. With therapy, getting them some, paying for them to go to therapy, right? And lastly, the last piece would be for the extracurricular activities. Research shows that kids that are involved in extracurricular activity, when they have something like this traumatic happen, where a parent goes to prison, they really do well by engaging with other students, right? And for me, I can attest, basketball, track, cross country, those things kept me so busy, and so focused, where I didn't have time to get in any trouble. So I'm a big proponent of those three things. So we have, again, the mentorship, the support group, and the scholarships. So, yeah.
I think it's great. We have, I think we have a few mental health. I know we have at least one psychiatrist affiliated with the station, and maybe some people are listening. I'm thinking, the mental health part has to be a big part of what you do, in addition to education. Now, when you talk about scholarships, I'm going to go back to my own upbringing. No one was incarcerated, but one of the things that I came from a poor family, and I imagine that, well, it says 1 in 8 poor children are have parents incarcerated. Little things like getting through middle school and high school. I went to school for almost the entirety of my junior high school with one pair of pants, and part of my high school, and things like clothing. Kids have a decent pair of shoes to wear to school. I'm not talking about anything fancy, just a pair of decent sneakers, a couple of decent pair of pants, a few shirts. When you talk about scholarship, we usually talk about colleges and universities, but don't you think that there's a need for children, like in going further down in school? For that's very important.
Definitely. I totally agree with you. Yeah, I totally agree.
So how many children are you mentoring now at the present time? How large is your?
Yeah, at this present time, none. That's why we're open to the community. We launched in January, so we're building the part, right, going through the school, but they've asked us to go this way to make it much more easier, I guess, smoother, because they don't have the data. And as I was mentioning, in the community school. So we're open, accepting mentees now. So So
Yeah, we need to get you talking to some people with these board of educations and the corrections authorities and some of these politicians, and
I agree.
take loose $1 or $2 here to get you going. Uh, what would you like the public to know about not just you, but but what you do? And, so, and we talked about a few of the challenges. Um, your walk through faith, that has to be a big thing.
Mhm.
Uh, we talked about the feelings of guilt, isolation, and abandonedness, unworthiness, which, yeah, that can really send somebody into a bad place. But you're a 501c. Let's talk about that.
Yes.
And uh, can you give our audience your website, how they can contact you for funding?
Well, of course, our website is www.girlsbreakingchains with an S on the end.org.
Mm-hmm.
We're also on, when you get to the site, there's a donate button. You'll be able to see it there. There's an area on there if you want to volunteer, if you're interested in mentoring as well. There's a place where you can select contact us. Right under contact us, you can fill out that information. But right now, as far as mentees, we are accepting mentees as well. So they can either, go on the website address. Also through our social media on Instagram, there's a link on there. Also, if you have a young person, a young girl, age 10 to 17, who has a parent that's incarcerated, there's a link there where they can apply, just nominate someone, and then we'll be in contact. So.
About your journey, I'm going to go back to that because we've kind of glossed over some things. I know it's not always pleasant to go back that route, but everybody thinks, oh, this only happens to me. And so that is part of the isolation. But I mean, you obviously graduated from high school, sounds like.
Yes.
And what happened there between high school and now?
Yes. Well, after high school, I was actually going to go into the military, but I decided not to.
Mm-hmm.
But after high school, I moved to Miami, and I moved with my uncle, one of my uncles who's more like a father to me. And this is one of the same uncles that was there for me as well. So as I was saying, I have a village of people that really, took me under their wing, make sure that I was, doing what I was supposed to do. But I eventually went to college. I went to Gwinnett. I'm at Miami-Dade College.
Okay.
I got my associates in teaching special education there. I met my husband in Miami as well. We've been married for almost 18 years.
Wow. You
Mhm.
just look like just a little bit over 25, so that's pretty good. Must be great. Must
I'll,
be great.
I'll take it. I'll take it. I'll take it. And also, I have a small business as well.
Mm-hmm.
I do administrative work for truck drivers. I started that. And I have two beautiful baby girl. Well, I would say big girls. One that's 11 years old and one is 3 years old. So yeah, I definitely I'm blessed. Yeah. I have a very supportive husband who has really pushed me to start this organization. He's helped me every step of the way. So I'm grateful. I have
That's
support.
what you need.
Yeah.
And the reason why I wanted to mention that is because I think that people need to know that even through that tragedy, when you have the proper support behind you, you can not only survive, you can thrive.
Mhm.
And get rid of that defeatist attitude. And you can't be a victim all your life. You've shredded the shroud of victimhood.
Mhm. Yeah.
But you were blessed to be able to see that, because the blessing comes with being able to embrace that. And a lot of people just either cannot or will not. And being trained to working with special education people, working as a resource officer, I've got to tell you, in the school, that was one of my most rewarding experiences. Is working with children who had learning challenges. And this is sort of related to what you're saying, because what I found out through interacting with a lot of these children is that a lot of what they were going through are exactly the things that you're talking about. Low self-esteem, low expectations, not being challenged to be better, and thinking that, I'm in a bad place, I'm not going to be able to do any better, and I'm not even going to try. And this is what you're doing. Basically, is you're saying, no, this ain't easy, but you can do it.
Yes.
You can do it. And even in your life, you're talking about, in spite of all that you went through, you had a husband that still had to push you. So it's a process. And I know, even in my own life, with my wife pushing me, through a lot of stuff. I mean, I tell everyone I wouldn't be where I am today if it wasn't for my wife pushing me here, pushing me there. So yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So you're headquartered here in Georgia now?
Yes, we're here in Georgia, in Gwinnett County, and we do in the future hope to expand, and grow.
Mm-hmm.
But right now, we want to stay here in this in particular county, but we also want to, in the future, just let people know that we will be expanding. We're looking to do some hybrid mentoring as well, and support
Mm-hmm.
groups. But right now, we want to start small. We're going to start with at least 5 girls right now to start mentoring. So yeah, we want to do it and do it well. We're not focused on quantity. We're focused on quality.
There you go. Well, we've got to get your name out there and your organization. Again, Girls Breaking Chains. And this means that, hey, some of you guys can step up. We can do with the guys breaking chains too. We just had a men's conference here on WCEG, the King Conference. I always think about the song "Where Is the King in You," and it's really a mentoring. I believe it's setting up a mentoring program for our young men, and our young women need it too. And we need to get you aligned with some other people here on this network who are actually more involved in this than I would. We have a lot of people in ministry on WCEG, a lot of people. And yes, I'm setting out, hint, hint. So alert to go out here and yeah, I really think that I'm getting all this stuff on my computer. I got to get rid of it. Yes, yeah, that we need to really get you. We have people who are affiliated with this station, unbeknownst to you, who are involved, who care about exactly what you're talking about. I think I had mentioned to you before that I've done several programs on prison reform, prison conditions, prison rehabilitation. A lot of those folks are listening to this program right now. A lot of those folks are connected to people in the correction system. And these are the people that are looking at you right now and saying, wow, we never thought of that. And maybe they need to reach out to you. Just give me your reach out information one more time. I have it. I like it coming from your website again.
Yes, www.girlsbreakingchains.org.
Go. And our program today is entitled Girls Breaking Chains, Surviving Parental Incarceration. I think it's enlightening, a little bit of time that we've had here. trying to increase our village of support.
Mm.
And there are people out there. So any parting words you would like to share with our audience, particularly our state legislators, our people involved with the with youth, DFACs, all of these people, some of whom I know are listening to this program. This is your pitch.
Yeah. Children of incarcerated parents, they need support, and we have the tools to help them. Everyone can do their part, no matter how small it is. It could be whether you're mentoring, in your community. We can even give back, like we talked about children of incarcerated parents. Sometimes they're living in poverty. We can, what will it hurt to do a drive for them for Christmas? In fact, that's something that we'll be doing as well this Christmas, an angel tree. So we as a community can come together and support all young people that have been impacted by parental incarceration. And as you already know, the statistics, there are over 5 million that have been impacted by parental incarceration. All they need is one caring adult that can help them change the trajectory of their life. I'm living proof. Supportive people can help. You can help in any capacity, whether it's a family member, what that child is going through, whether it's if it's a coach, offer encouragement, but all organizations that are trying to, do good, just like Girls Breaking Chains, support them. If you're someone that's in legislation, think about the ones that are left behind. Children of incarcerated parents are the hidden victims when the parent goes to prison. So do what you can. And again, you can start with supporting our organization. Thank you.
And one of the things that I'm getting a little text messages here, someone says that there are grants out there for you. We're going to have to do some work, help you do a little digging here. One of the things I like to leave our audience with, and I want to be consistent with a lot of the things that I've said before about prison reform and prison conditions. It's up to us, to all of us, to break the cycle that some families, some people are locked into. We need to break that cycle. Helping out children who have parents who are incarcerated is part of breaking that cycle. Helping people who are in prison to come out and be productive citizens once they get out is part of breaking that cycle. And when you purposely ignore people that are caught up in the situations as Mrs. Estrada when she was a youngster, when you purposely ignore them, the one thing that you guarantee is that the cycle of violence, the cycle of poverty will continue. And so we have it within us to end that, or to at least make it not quite as bad. As you can see, she could have gone a lot of ways. The anger, she told you about the anger. I've seen that internal anger. You just don't know where, or you don't know that that's just anger when you're dealing with it. All you know is that you're acting a certain way. There are things going on in your head. You're resentful. You have miserable nights, and sometimes you just want to strike out. Do you have please have her put out your number? Is there a number that, well, it's good to a business number that you have where people can reach you?
Yeah, I can give you that. I'll put it in the chat right here.
Okay, good. That'll be great, because we'll take that and we'll post it. And I have a sneaky feeling that people are going to be in touch with you, and that's a good thing. That's a good thing. And hopefully, spoiler alert, we had a little conversation earlier, and I think I'm going to be able to introduce you to some people this evening who
Okay.
might be able to help you. At least I'm going to try.
Okay.
Oh yeah, perfect. Good. Thank you. Thank you. So ladies and gentlemen, it's been great having you here on WCEG with Mrs. Tynecia Estrada, Girls Breaking Chains Incorporated. Is incorporated. And the website, www.girlsbreakingchange.org. I invite all of you to visit the website. Just visit the website, www.girlsbreakingchange.org. I thank you for joining us on this installment of Issues and Answers. We look forward to seeing you in a couple of weeks. And remember, folks, it's municipal voting season. So it's too late to register, but it's not too late to vote. Early voting is going on right now. So until the next time, take care of yourself. It's been great seeing you, and we look forward to seeing you in a couple of weeks. And thank you for my guests. Thank you so much.
Thank you.